Yeah. Ready? Okay, I'll call to order the Shell Rock River Watershed District meeting, August 12, 2025. Agenda 1, call to order. Leah, please call the roll.
Manager Bakken.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye. Number 2, public forum. Anybody from the public like to speak? Have it.
So I'd like to speak on behalf of probably some neighbors, friends, and myself, I guess, as a citizen today. So just thinking a little bit about some of our committees and a few things. And we have a strategic planning and budgeting committee, and I'd like to see that split for this coming year. And the budgeting part of it would probably work on financing for dredging of Beverly Lake. And the other part of the planning was either counties and cities have planning and zoning committees. And I'd like to see a little more planning on our part when it comes to purchasing land, whether it's recycling, some property or whatever. But I gave the example of the rain gardens here the last couple of months, but we put assets of our watershed into rain gardens, but yet there's no maintenance on them. I think we can drive to a number right now that don't look that great. I know we got one out of our door that looks like it's been managed a little bit better. So my hope today is that I get some support from the board on splitting this committee, and then getting some support from the public on planning a little bit more for whether we're purchasing land or doing county tile improvements with the I want to say the wildlife areas right next to the public tile projects. I know we have one at Alden that doesn't work very well for the neighbors. So that's my comments today, and I'll talk more during the meeting, but I'm just looking for support to split that committee and do a little more planning on our part as the watershed. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Al. Anybody else from the public like to speak? Hearing none, move on to 3, approval of agenda. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions?
Mr. Chair, I just want to note that Mike Wackles is not going to be here today, so I will be presenting on item 5 under Natural Resource Technician Water Monitoring Update.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move item F under 6 to A and move A down to F. That's okay with the board?
F to A.
Yeah.
And then what?
And A down to F.
A down to L. Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make that a motion.
Second.
Third.
Any discussion? We can roll.
Manager Bakken.
Aye.
Manager Hanson. Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 4, consent agenda. The following items will be acted upon without discussion in accordance with the staff recommendations and associated documents, unless a manager requests opportunity for discussion. A, minutes of the July 8th, 2025 Shell Rock River Watershed District regular board meeting. B, minutes of the July 31st, 2025 Shell Rock River Watershed District budget workshop. C, July 2025 treasurer's report subject to audit. D, July 2025 project funds treasurer's report subject to audit. E, authorized payment of claims. F, authorized payment of project fund claims. We have a motion. So moved. Second. Second. Any discussion? Leah, please call the roll.
Manager Bakken.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye, motion carried. Item number 5. Courtney.
Thank you. Just a water monitoring update. I do wanted to point out that last night at 5, we received our draft database. If you remember, the district went through ISG to get us a new water monitoring database, so we got that last night. We haven't had a chance to poke around and look at it, but just letting you know that we all received it. As far as I know, Mike's been doing lakes and streams every other week. All has been going well, except I was informed that potentially a buoy went sideways again, the one that was in Bancroft Bay. If you remember Saturday morning, there was some aggressive winds that went through that caused a bunch of downed trees over by Alden, and some of that must have came through and put a buoy on its side. So I don't know if it's still working or not, but we will be investigating that. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Number 6, project program manager. Go Nicole.
Thank you. So with the switch, we are now going to be looking at a motion to approve the SRRD committee list. And I do want to point out that Nick Belger did contact us and he would like to be added to the sales tax committee. There currently is 2 on there, Al Bakken and Dan DeBoer. So there is an opening, so I will suggest that we put Nick on that.
Motion.
You gotta even do with one motion on everything or?
I want to do 2 because you want to change it. Okay, so do it one at a time.
Okay, this motion will be,
To add Nick to the sales tax committee.
your motion.
So moved. Okay.
Any discussion? Will you call the roll?
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Hanson, Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Pasuski, Manager DeBoer.
Yep, Mr. Chair, I'd like to enter a motion to actually divide the strategic plan and budgeting committee. And then have a I don't know what you want to call it, asset management committee or a strategic planning committee or whatever, but I'd like to have another committee there and I'd like to serve on the planning one part of it. So I'm volunteering for that, what I'm saying. So I'll introduce a motion to create or split that committee or start another one, where people look at it.
Should we have a name for it?
Yeah, so I was just gonna clarify, so would it be a planning committee and then a budgeting committee would be the 2 different ones?
I don't think they need to get into any financial matters on the budgeting part of it. I think it's more. Whether this endeavor or project fits with our strategic plan or whatever. I know, and we haven't got a motion on the floor yet, but I don't care what the name of it is, but it needs to be more of a planning like the county or the city has a little bit,
So this one's strategic budgeting.
Well, it's got plan and budget.
Yeah, so you just keep this one strategic budgeting.
I want 2 committees if we.
Yep, and but this one, you keep that one budgeting.
Yeah, I don't care what you call them, whether you call it long-term budgeting or strategic planning or whatever.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing another budgeting one, so maybe we keep the one that we have right now is just a budgeting committee. So get rid of strategic plan, so that'd be a budgeting committee. And then you would create a new one, which would be, assets or strategic plan, would that work?
That'd be fine.
Okay,
Strategic planning, yeah.
What would it be called?
just strategic planning,
Strategic planning. Okay.
and Al would like to serve on that. Would anyone else like to serve on that committee?
You haven't got a motion on the floor to create it yet.
Yeah, true. We need 3 motions? Okay,
So you read the 2.
so the strategic plan and budgeting committee would be split into a budgeting committee and a strategic planning committee.
Okay,
So that would be the motion on the floor.
we have a motion.
So
I introduced the motion, second.
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 Okay, any discussion?
My part of the discussion would be that some of the things that happen, like with I mentioned the county ditch system. In the county ditch system, I think Mike is probably familiar with Mike Lee is familiar with it, but the farmers, the county manages the system, and in our case, we could be doing that system too, but the county manages it and the farmers usually bring it to the attention of the ditch inspector, what improvements need to be made and everything.
Right.
But a lot of times, on paper, it looks like, this wildlife project that DNR or US Fish and Wildlife or us are doing across the fence, it looks like it's not gonna work perfect. But a lot of times it doesn't. The example is up at Alden. There's I don't know what the size of that water holding pond is, but it's probably 10, 15 acres or whatever.
It's a significant size.
Right. So that if you, and they're using the county ditch system as an overflow for that area, correct?
Correct.
So if there's holding there for how many acre feet of water, the farmers doesn't get drainage across the road because the system's always full because they're storing the water all year long, you see. So some of those things need to be looked at when it's, whether it's a ditch committee or whatever, to know that maybe we need to have a pile alongside the other one for the other landowners or whatever. But land values are $8,000 to $10,000 an acre now. The taxes are $80 to $100 an acre. So if you don't get 10 acres, it's $10,000 of revenue. Like in my case right now, I've got some bean acres right next to it's a private wildlife pond area. And last year there was 2 pairs of Canadian geese there, and now there's about 8 pairs. And I counted 50 the other day, and they've taken 5 acres of beans. That's 600-700 an acre. That's 3,500. So I'd like to be able to come to the watershed or the DNR or somebody and say, hey, I need a check for 3,500 over that. Well, what are my options without speaking out loud here too much is. So
I understand.
yeah. And then some of the things like that, weed control, maybe our employee Mike could look into it a little bit, but buckthorn is taken over. I looked at the wild parsnip is really coming on everywhere. And I've got some farmland next to a US Fish and Wildlife hunting area, and I wouldn't walk through there. It's so thick.
Don't.
Yeah, you don't. So what good is to have a hunting wildlife area if you can't even hunt it? I mean,
Who owns it?
US Fish and Wildlife.
Well, state law requires to get rid of that.
Yeah, no,
So
but
the weed inspector should be calling US Fish and Wildlife.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This committee needs to have some of those connections and look at the long-term prospects of what we're doing and how it's working. So I guess I'm gonna vote yes as I'm saying.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is for this splitting the committees.
We have first and a second.
We
Any
do.
other discussion?
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Hanson,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Besuski,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye, motion carried.
Sounds good. So if we're missing 2 board managers, is it appropriate to put people on this committee right now, or do we? We can table that one to September.
I think you should, yeah, then you give people opportunity to decide.
Okay. So I would approve all of them. Accept that one. So then we can pursue this. Okay. So then the overall. Will be submitting or would be approving the committee list as is, knowing that we're tabling the strategic planning to all of this meeting.
And I'll introduce that motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? Leah, please go roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Hanson,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Besuski,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay. Next item is going to be then, we'll just flip flop a motion to enter into action agreement for the own property. I printed out a map that I handed out that didn't get included with the packet. The own property is roughly 9 acres in size. It is located just south of that 220th Street. It is currently surrounded by US Fish and Wildlife property. We have been in communication with the seller. It's an abandoned farm site. If you go, there is, an old barn, a lot of foundations that are crumbling, but it's basically an abandoned homestead. And so she came to the district last year expressing interest to sell and adding it to the preserve because we had purchased a board parcel. And so we do already have Lessard Sam's funding for this site. it would go to US Fish and Wildlife as a donation after that acquisition. We have been working with US Fish and Wildlife heavily on this site, as Al mentioned during the committee listing. We did complete that wetland restoration project out there. Unfortunately, right after we completed construction, all of them has been kind of hit with a lot of water, and Al is right, that system really is in the red. I've been in communication with the disc inspector a lot over the last 2 weeks regarding this area, because the bottleneck is not where our wetland restorations are, but all of that has to go through a 10-inch tile to get to the open ditch that goes to Sugar Lake. And so the water's not leaving our site either, just because the system is so full. I've talked to John Gary, who's the ditch inspector, about potentially having the landowners petition for improvement, because that was put in the 1940s. It's all clay tile and it's a 10-inch. And there's 18-inch that tapers down to a 10-inch to get to that open ditch. So it really is truly a system of, there's not a lot of open ditch in that system, and it all has to go through a 10-inch tile, and there's not much grade on that system. When we were putting this wetland restoration in place, Cody, the ditch inspector, said, you're not going to be able to fix the problems there, because it's just, there's no grade and it's a 10-inch tile, that's the outlet. We were aware of that, but we had a really wet spring last year, and then they were able to get their crop planted. Everything was looking great. And then Alden had that 5-inch rain early this summer, and it just went downhill ever since then, and it just can't keep up. So we're working with US Fish and Wildlife to, over the winter months when agricultural does not need that, to pull all logs in that wetland basin to draw it down as far as we can over the winter, so that come spring, we'll put the logs back in and we'll be able to actually trap water sources there instead of it already being full. So we've really invested a lot of effort into that area to try and do what's best, because yes, we realize that there's been a lot of water there, and we want the agricultural fields to drain first. So we're coming up with tools in our toolbox with that agri-green structure to de-water it all, and potentially working with the farm community, because we did put in a new main on the south side of the interstate that everyone tapped into. I know that there's been pattern tile that they put into it, but the problem still is about 2 miles to the east when it's a 10-inch tile and everything has to go through. So we've been working on it. It's been a difficult road, but 5 inches of rain doesn't help. It is a lot of rain, and it was very basically all in that watershed. But getting back to this parcel, again, it comes from Lassard and Sam's funding, phase 14, roughly 8 acres in size. We would go through the process of, after the option agreement is approved and signed, to do this appraised process for the value in it. We would have some restoration dollar amounts in the parcel that would be grant funded before it gets donated to US Fish and Wildlife Service.
We have a motion. Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Al?
So I think I read the option agreement several times, and I've done them in my own business a few times, but like on page 4 of the agreement, we agree to pay all closing costs. Well, that includes appraisal, surveys, different things. So when you're looking at this appraisal, it's pretty generous, what I'm saying, and I don't know if this is the industry standard yet, but on page 7, there's an area that needs another paragraph on, and that's where I'd like to have the have it in our purchase or option agreements that our committee would look at some of these things before we get too involved in them. This site has probably well closings, buildings, foundation, concrete, buckthorn. It'd be nice if there was a wetland, established instead of, another more drainage or whatever. But so I know we're going to get into engineering costs and stuff, but to take out all the trees that aren't native there is probably $80,000 to $100,000 is what I'm thinking.
Walking on the site, surprisingly, there's not a lot of buckthorn there. It's a lot of old maples. I think the biggest thing would just be these small Baptist cottonwoods, but it's not anything that's extravagant. Some areas, like you said, you walk in and it's full of buckthorn. This one is not. We are working with US Fish and Wildlife to share some of the restoration costs. They would do a lot of the vegetation management, where we could get a lot of the the foundations, and they are just like full 1 foot high, not very big. The problem is there's just a lot of them, but they're small, but it's not that much effort. So I would say that 80,000 is high as far as the vegetation management side of things, but again, looking to cost share that cost with US Fish and Wildlife.
So my last comment, I'd like to say if we can establish that new committee, be on the like the bottom of the 7th page here, the option.
So what language are you specifically stating that's missing from the option agreement?
I'm saying that there's no long-term plan. Is it a parcel that we need for long-term? I know there's US Fish and Wildlife around this one, but the next one may have farmland around it. So, so I'd like to plan a little bit farther ahead, and some of the tile issues up in that area they're not uncommon to other areas too. Got one down on I-35. There's 20 acres of water from I-35 that comes into our tile system, but the farmers are all supposed to pick up the bill on the 20 acres of water. Well, would we sue the federal government through the state? Mike would know from more.
No,
I
I think you can assess benefits against right away.
Yeah, so.
Well, wouldn't you want to do the planning before you get to this point?
Well, we're talking about signing an option today, so.
Yeah, I know, but then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Before we even get to the.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get ahead of the game here.
So are we tabling this in your opinion, or are we going ahead with this one because we're safe to go ahead?
I would say we go ahead with this one, but I'm not saying that I would go ahead with everyone.
Well, I think the committee should probably discuss those types of things, then
Right.
we're gonna go ahead with this one. Is there any junk on the site and garbage and crap that needs to be cleaned up?
All the buildings are pretty much empty. There is an old abandoned house on it. But again, working with US Fish and Wildlife to cover those costs. We do have cost sharing for the well sealing.
Do you do a phase 1 or something out there to look
No.
at the site at all, in these cases?
In previous,
Hazardous?
that's a good question, but in previous projects where we've had like an old garage or the old, your family, I'm drawing a blank at what her name was.
How?
Yeah, Schroeder's, there was some buildings there. They're normally, old enough that it's just mostly been foundations that we haven't had to do a phase 1.
That's a neat thing.
Speaking from experience, I got a house I'd like to tear down, so I think the asbestos study was $600 and the company to do it is $3,600.
It depends on how much stuff there is.
Right.
It can get high price.
Yeah, and then you still have demo and filling in the basement and all those other things.
Yeah.
With it.
I've done a few of those.
Thank you.
Any other? Vehicle call.
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Hanson?
I.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager Susie?
Aye.
Manager DeBoer?
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is a motion to approve WSB engineering proposal. This engineering proposal is to help us finalize and complete our wetland banking credits. If you look, the cost is for $28,834. This will be a charge as needed, so if they don't complete, or if they get the work done cheaper, it won't
Not
be.
to exceed.
Yeah, so it's not to exceed value. But this is a result of the country club property that we had that we converted into wetlands for the wetland bank, because when we were completing the CDF facility, there were wetland impacts at that site. We had that all pre-approved, but now it's just basically closing out the final vegetation maintenance monitoring plan, completing the as-built survey for the site, because that is also a requirement. Recording the easement and creating the easement to be recorded to the county for the wetland bank, and then also submitting those wetland credits to Bowser. So essentially this cost is going to take us to the end of the completion of getting those final wetland bank credits completed. Which is needed, like I said, because we wrecked wetlands with the CDF construction.
Do you have community? 2 to 1?
That is a question for Andy. That was before my time when you were, I would assume so. I think that's standard, but I don't know if it was 2 to 1 or if it was.
Do we need a motion to discuss this?
Yeah,
Yeah, we use some of that. So sorry, you can do a motion and we
Do
can
we have a
discuss it.
motion?
So,
Second,
second,
open up the discussion.
Okay, so we had wetland credits that were created at the supplemental park, that was used for CDF cell 1.
Okay.
When we were doing construction of CDF 2 and 3, there was more significant wetland impacts when we were designing those and constructing those. So we had the approval to destroy the wetlands, knowing that we were doing the country club wetland bank.
Okay.
So construction kind of happened parallel to each other of us creating the wetland and us destroying the wetlands at the CDF. And that was all approved through the technical advisory panel through the city and the county and Bowser.
Okay.
So we have, X amount of time after the fact of destroying the wetlands to finalize the credits. So the wetlands created, it's just finalizing the transaction.
this is, for example, hole number 2 area down there in the bottom of the hill.
Yes,
And will there be any acres left after this is done?
that is a great question. There might be a small amount of credits left over based off of after the CDF. I don't know the extent of that
Okay.
right now.
And how much is a typical credit?
I've been hearing,
What is on the market?
I've been hearing anywhere from like 30 to 40,000,
Okay.
if not more. So a large amount of the credits that we are gonna be generating with the wetland bank at the country club are going to go to the CDF, but there still might be a slight amount of reserve left over that we could potentially sell as revenue.
But at 30 to 40,000 or more. This reduced the outlay of the Shell Rock district by purchasing the country club. For CDF2, so it was a good idea to do that, just so the public is aware that.
Yeah.
There are reasons why things are being done.
Yeah, I just don't have a value to how many credits we have left over.
Right.
But
Yeah,
once we're through this process, we can relay that message back.
thank you.
Mhm.
Question for our legal team here. Are we allowed as a district to create some wetlands someplace? Are we allowed to maintain and hold those credits and sell them, or are we only allowed to trade them like we just did here?
That's a good question.
So my understanding is that if we were to just use. That is a good question, because I don't know if we were to use our general fund dollars, like our sales tax dollars, I don't know if we would be able to create a profit off of that. I do know that for all of our grant sources for like Lessard Sands, we cannot have a profit off the wetland, so we cannot use those grant dollars from Lessard Sands to create a wetland bank and then sell those credits. I know that's for our grant funds. Now, I don't know what the implications would be for our sales tax or our levy, which is tax dollars, if that would be a profit. If you could create a profit.
How's it being known based on experience with other counties? They might know the answer. And I see nothing wrong with buying a piece of property. If it's later used to offset costs, that makes common sense.
Right.
Just to buy it and hold it, I don't know, that's always a good idea, but. I think the staff had great insight here into what was gonna happen in the future by recommending that we get the country club. And that turned out great, I mean, with this sale of the rest of the land. It's a good job.
Any more discussion? Leah, call roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Hanson,
I
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Besuski,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. Item B is a motion to apply for the Minnesota Department of Ag Soil Health Financial Assistance Grant Program. This is the same as last year where we tried getting funding through the Department of Health. It's a 50-50 grant to get equipment to be able to like a seed drill to install cover crops or use it for native prairie planting. We didn't get it last year, so we're gonna try again this year. It'll pretty much be the same application. I do believe there's preference to people who applied last year and didn't get it, that they would have more of a priority this year. So just looking again to install that. And that is something that if we had this equipment, we could rent it out to other producers. Thinking more small scale, like if you had someone who had, a shelter belt or something that was maybe 2-5 acres in size, but they could use smaller equipment to get in there and we would have it available for rent. So looking at applying for that again.
We have a motion.
So,
Second,
okay,
any discussion? Leah, please call the roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Hanson, Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Besuski,
alright,
Manager DeBoer.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. Next item is a motion to approve delegates for the Minnesota Watershed Resolutions meeting. This meeting is August 25th via Zoom at 10 a.m. I know that Brad Kramer is one of the delegates, but we are needing a second delegate listed that would be able to attend.
Mike, you said you?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
so moved.
Second. Any discussion? Leah, please call the roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Hanson,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Besuski,
Alright,
Manager DeBoer.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. The new item F is the resolution 2025-04 initiate Shell Rock River Stream Bank project. This is a phase 14 Lessard Sands funded project. It's a relatively small project area, but it is located on the Shell Rock River near the Iowa border, kind of by the Panicum Prairie portion where the river comes in. When we were doing the wetland restoration of the the stream bank restoration with the tow wood, basically on the Iowa border, there were some landowners that came to us and said, hey, we have some erosion that's taking place just north of us. Took a peek at it. They are having some stream bank issues there. Mike Trenton is one of the landowners affected. He's got some large oak trees that the river is just cutting back. And so it's a relatively small project. We have around $200,000 to work on it. But we do already have grant funding for it. So I will read the resolution. Thank you. Resolution 2025-04 Shell Rock River Stream Bank Restoration Initiated Project 2025-01. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas project goals and objectives set forth in the plan include improve water quality and clarity to district lakes, improve and enhance waterfowl habitat, minimize flood damage to property and preserve the function of the floodplain, restore and stabilize eroding and failing stream banks. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that the project has the potential to promote the public interest and welfare, is practical, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District, Section 1, initiates project number 2025-01 Shell Rock River Stream Bank Restoration. Section 2 authorizes district staff to negotiate appropriate professional service agreements to promote and complete the Shell Rock River Stream Bank restoration efforts. Section 3 authorizes district staff to conduct work as needed to present this project to the board for review and public hearing as required by law, dated August 12, 2025.
Then we have a motion to initiate project 2025-01.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion?
I just wanted to make a note, it's resolution 2025-04, project number 2025-01.
Sure.
You might have said it right, but it threw me off there.
Any discussion? Leah, please call the roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Hanson,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Besuski,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye, resolution passed.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is item G, Fountain Lake Restoration Project Update, East Main Bay and Bancroft Day Update. I'm going to turn this over to Steph, but first I'm going to state that the CDF project, the cleanout is fully complete. You will see the retainage on this month's claims. So we're closing that project out and it was successful, so.
Very good.
Good morning, Manager. So quick update, as the board knows, we engaged outside counsel, Miss Megan Rogers up at Larkin Hoffman to handle our appeal on a permit. There was a scheduling conference earlier this month, so last week, on that matter, and that we have scheduled a second scheduling conference for October 10th. So we've had some movement with DNR. She's also been in contact with the Attorney General's office, who represents the DNR on this appeal. We have a meeting, a technical meeting with all of the engineers, the DNR and attorneys later this month on August 25th. So that's a Monday. We will be meeting up at the DNR's office and going through all of the technical pieces. In September, on a date yet to be determined, we will actually be doing a settlement conference amongst the parties to see if we can work out the last issues on this permit. At that meeting, again, we don't have a date yet. I will need board managers available. And we'll discuss that ahead of time because we'll probably need some authority as, you know, where we're gonna go with this permit, what are we willing to agree to, those types of things. So we'll have probably a closed session prior to then to discuss that. So we're prepared to go into that settlement meeting in September. Plan is then, if we're able to resolve it, we will have everything prepared with a final permit for approval with the ALJ at the October 10th hearing. If we're unable to get there, then at the October 10th hearing, we will plan out the rest of that appeal process and. So to be determined, but we are making some progress.
A lot of work to do, yeah.
A lot of work to do, yes. We're hoping with fresh eyes. I mean, we have counsel, TNR has counsel. Obviously, both sides are very vested in their positions. And so hopefully having some fresh eyes can help just move it to where we need, because we're talking a relatively small but very important area yet that needs to be dredged. In particular, the high phosphorus areas up in Bancroft and the navigational channels on the west side of Bancroft. They are really the main sticking points.
Any discussion, any questions?
Okay, next item is battery energy storage system BESS update. So I do know that Andy and Mike attended one of the first meetings up at the Freeborn County Courthouse regarding this as their advisory committee. So I'll turn it over to Mike to kind of relay the information that there was.
No, we got together, we had the county was there, the township, Shell Rock Township was there, City of Elberly was there. The union that's gonna charge out Belver was there. There was a guy from one of the members from the PUC was there, and a couple others from BESS. Of course, one of the big topics talked right away was the 1-inch holding pond. Well, the night before the meeting, we had 3 inches of rain. So, kind of tough. 1-inch holding pond for a 1-inch storm isn't gonna do it. So, and there was, we had concerns from the county and township out there about the location of it. And need the setback or is there, so they said like maybe look at, if you've got other locations, then bring it up. So we'll have to wait and see what comes up. We have another meeting on the 22nd of August. Trying to think of other things. There went around, everybody talked about their concerns, or if they didn't have it, City Overlay was there too. And basically, they offered their concerns and stuff, and notes were taken, and I guess we move on again here on the 22nd for the next step. But this isn't, we're leveling out our concerns, and we're not gonna basically come out with an agreement of what's gotta be done. We're just telling them what our concerns are. We'll go to PUC before they make their decision.
Question, does this battery site need to be next to transmission lines or power lines or?
All you would think would have.
Well, what I was getting at, why doesn't Freeborn County have, or Moore County have a industrial park area in the rural area or something? Freeborn County ever talked about that?
I think they didn't, there was nothing talked about it that I can remember. My grandson got a hold of my notes and went through the shredder, so. He likes to shred.
Don't know that Moore County has a specific site for industrial.
I think Iowa has some, don't they? Counties, industrial sites or.
You might. I don't remember Fremont coming.
Power lines are a very interesting issue. They're moving more and more power nowadays on smaller corridors. Moore County has a peaking plant that was built by Great River Energy quite a few years ago. I don't remember the exacts. It may have been 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Out in Pleasant Valley Township, a lot of power that's peak power is being funneled through that plant. I don't know how much they have gas generation there, and I don't know how much they do that anymore, but that's a private, that's not public.
You know, one thing, another thing, I'll say Andy did a very good job of stating the watershed's position on this. You know, with the, talking about putting a pad under the rock to keep it from getting the whatever we use for coolant to get in groundwater. And like I said, they need to do something more about a type of holding pot that's gonna hold more one inch rain. And but there's a lot of concerns of being so close to shore. You know, we spent what millions of dollars trying to fix up this watershed. We don't really need that to really get into the shore down south of Glendale. So we'll just keep at it. There's 2 more meetings before it goes to PUC. So next one, like I said, next one is the 22nd. So that's all I got.
Great point.
All right, thank you. Last item is a grant update. We did say at the budget meeting, but we did get appropriated funding amount of roughly 1.16 million for the LCCMR Greater Fountain Lake Accessibility Grant, which is including the fishing piers and the canoe kayak access launch and also those pedestrian walkways. That would be on top of the Lessard Sands grant for the stream bank restoration. So we have our work plan that's due at the end of Friday of this week that we are going to be submitting. And then it's also letting you know that we did rank high for our LSOHC hearing, our phase 15 proposal. We have our hearing Wednesday, the 27th. The big projects that we have in that are again putting more money towards the channel restoration. And then also in lake habitat for Edgewater and the rest of Main Bay following the dredging project. So those are the two big ones that we would be funding out of that. So all good news.
You know,
That's all that I have.
all right, thanks, Orton. Number 7, any managers items?
Sure, I got one thing. We talked about it, I think, in the past, maybe having a little tour in September or something like that. I know our township, like Overley Township, they go once a year and just drive the townships or whatever once a bit. So I don't know if it's possible to do something every September, but it'd be nice to see after our summer projects and what's going on sometimes. So,
Take a tour at all.
yeah, you don't have to be together, but maybe a tour and lunch together or something would be great. So, thank you.
Any other managers? Upcoming meetings, board meeting, September 9th, 2025, 8:30.
I'll be gone. Probably blame Gorge Utah. And for Uri, Colorado.
Would be fun. Number 9, motion to adjourn. Second.
Yes.
Manager Bracken.
Hi.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.